Ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor. Please welcome your governor from your great state of New Jersey, Christie. Come on out here. Thank you very much. Welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here.
You now how do you feel about me?
I love you, Dave.
No,
a love that I have a difficult time really explaining, but a deep and abiding love.
Well, now we have a real problem. But I've made jokes about you, not just one or two, not just ongoing here and there, intermittent, but...
I didn't know this was going to be this long.
Now, wait a minute. Maybe you can do that sort of thing in your state, buddy.
Feel free.
Yeah, no, thanks. It looks pretty good. But now, all kidding aside, is it an issue or is it not an issue? And you tell me how you see things.
I only care if you're funny. I mean, from my perspective, if the joke is funny, I laugh, even if it's about me. If it's not funny, I laugh. But I've never felt like it was, anything that really bugged me all that much. No.
Now, what percentage of the jokes have you found funny?
About 40%. Roughly. Roughly.
That'll get you in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Right?
Now, from your perspective, your family's perspective, your wife, your 4 kids, do you ever discuss, maybe I ought to, go on a diet? Do you ever have that?
Every day.
Every day.
Every day, Dave.
Yeah.
In fact, what they do is they take turns.
Working on you.
Well, no, working would be probably a little bit too heavy, but
suggesting it?
Perhaps. You might want to get smaller pants someday, and if you do, the need is then to lose the weight. Yeah.
Now, this is none of my business.
Sure.
Do you have family members who are also heavy?
No, I'm the guy.
You are the guy.
Yeah, I'm the guy.
Yeah. Now, how is your health? If you went to a doctor today, what would the doctor say?
Startlingly good, Dave, my health, actually.
Good, yeah.
But I just turned 50, and so the doctor's now telling me, things are going to start to fall off me if I don't get it together.
That's right.
So, I think up to this point, though, actually pretty good,
now,
luckily.
Your cholesterol? How is your cholesterol?
Actually, Dave, my cholesterol is normal, believe it or not.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And what about your blood sugar?
Oh, blood sugar, also normal.
Also normal.
Yeah.
So
I'm basically the healthiest fat guy you've ever seen in your life. Oh, crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Well, there's your campaign poster right there.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So are you on a diet now?
Well, obviously not.
I guess not. No. Yeah.
Just blew it. Well, it just came back from the Super Bowl, and going to New Orleans is not the place to go for a diet.
I know. I was down there a few weeks ago, and I know exactly.
Right.
What you're talking
this
about.
is basically the way you organize a day in New Orleans is when can I fit my nap in between meals? It's basically the way it works.
And they don't care.
Oh, no.
They'll cook anything any damn way they want.
And they fry everything.
Yes, and it couldn't be more delicious.
Oh, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
So I had 3 days down there, Dave. So we're restarting after the show on the diet.
Well, it means a great deal to me that you were nice enough to come and be on the show.
Well, I'm happy to be on. I really am.
Yeah.
I watch you all the time.
Thank you very much.
You're my favorite late night show.
Well, then I'll just... The governor is not under oath, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just point that out. We'll be right back with the governor of the Garden State of New Jersey, Chris Christie. Governor Chris Christie is with us. We were just talking about he was at the Super Bowl last night, and you were sitting with you were the parents of the two coaches.
Yeah, the Harbaughs.
The Harbaughs.
Yeah.
And what was that like? Because both sons, I mean, really, what did they want to happen there?
They sat there very quiet most of the night.
Yeah.
There was no clapping, no cheering. They looked almost physically in pain for most of the game.
Yeah.
They really did. And I felt awfully for them. They're just wonderful people. I mean, really kind, nice people. We had conversations during timeouts or at halftime, but they were really wonderful folks, but they were clearly in misery.
One wonders what you would do in that situation, being a parent, for God's sake.
I mean, how do you pick?
And the NFL guy, Roger Goodell, he was with you last night?
Yeah, I was in his box.
What happened when the lights went out?
He didn't seem to care one bit, actually.
Didn't care.
He was eating some popcorn, checking his BlackBerry. He seemed relatively unconcerned, and I looked and I said, that's leadership. Look at this guy.
That's right.
He figured he's got people who are working on this.
Yeah.
You mentioned before, by the way, about the jokes. I do have a couple that you did that I actually are some of my personal favorites.
No, wait a minute. Jokes I did about you?
Yeah.
Oh, for the love of God.
Can I read them?
You're the governor. Go right ahead.
Because we've kept track in my office. And you're up to 362,000.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's just on the fat jokes.
That's it.
We particularly like when you had the guy who would come out and you say, now make a joke about Governor Christie. It doesn't have anything to do with his weight.
Yeah.
That was good. We like those. All right, here's two of them that we particularly like. First one was, celebrity birthday today. Chris Christie turned 50. He blew out the candles on his cake, and he wished for another cake. And this one I thought, I don't know if this is one of your best ones, but I think it's very topical given what went on yesterday. $1 billion will be spent on potato chips for Super Bowl Sunday, and that's just at Governor Christie's house.
I'll be with you in a second.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Get one of those tissues. They really work.
Now, Governor,
if you threw it back that way, would it break the window?
Let's see. Good question.
Right? Let's see.
Let's give it a shot.
I love that.
Let's talk about your state and what people probably don't realize. And it's not just this part of the country, but when something happens in a different part of the country, it gets their attention for a while, and then they move on to other things. Sure. But we're still left with the damage and the cleanup and the homelessness caused by Hurricane Sandy. Give us an evaluation of your state and surrounding environs now.
Well, it's still awful. I mean, we've cleaned up a lot of the state from that initial debris and the awful reminders of it, but we still have 42,000 families tonight who are homeless. 42,000
people left homeless. Families.
More than that.
Because of Hurricane Sandy.
Yep. Still homeless tonight.
And where are they?
They're staying in a combination of hotels. They're staying in apartments that we've rented for them, homes that we've rented for them at Fort Monmouth, an old military installation in New Jersey that we've refurbished to put them in. And some of them are staying with family and friends on a voluntary basis. And so it's awful. And you still have probably about a little short of 80,000 businesses that haven't reopened.
80,000 businesses. Now, what will become of the displaced families? What will happen to the businesses? Will they eventually reopen? Will they move somewhere else? Are they done forever?
We hope that most of them will come back. And part of what we're going to do now that we finally got some federal aid is to use that money to set up a business grant program and a grant program for homeowners to kind of fill that gap between what they got from their insurance and what it's going to cost them to rebuild. And so that's going to be two of the things we're going to start, as soon as the money starts coming, which should be in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Have we learned anything from this experience? Are we looking ahead with an eye to making sure it doesn't happen as badly next time?
Yep. I mean, I announced last week new standards, rebuilding standards, that if you're going to rebuild in some of these areas, they have to be to much higher standards in terms of the materials you use and the height of the buildings. And there's some people who are upset about that, but my view is we shouldn't be throwing good money after bad. People should know what the standards are. And if you don't want to rebuild there, then don't rebuild there. But we can't have this happen again.
Now, I believe the governor of this state is suggesting that certain areas that were hit hard be offered a financial incentive not to rebuild in those locations, and that place, the population then moves away, so it doesn't happen again. Is anything like that going to happen in New Jersey?
In fact, we already have a program like that we're going to use some of this money to make larger. It's called the Blue Acres program. It's essentially where you have flooding that's persistent and chronic, to buy the properties from folks at fair market value, let them take that money and go buy a home someplace else, and then just turn that into passive recreation space or whatever you want to do with it, with just not people living there anymore.
Now, people can live anywhere they want to live, but it looks like now that living that close to the ocean is not a good idea.
Well, in some instances not. I mean, if we build these dune systems strong enough and high enough, in certain places in New Jersey where we had the big dunes, you didn't get the homes destroyed. The dunes did their job, which was to keep the ocean out of the town. But listen, these are things, folks have to make these decisions. One thing they're going to do is they're going to pay much higher flood insurance rates going forward if you're going to want to build that close to the ocean.
Now, the federal relief money, is it in hand now or not in hand?
Not quite in hand yet. The president signed it last week. And now we're working with the different departments to get the money start to come here. So I think you'll probably in the next 2 weeks you'll see the money actually starting to come into New Jersey and New York, which is the two main places that it's going to go.
And how much money are we talking about here?
Well, they approved $50 billion between the two states. And a little bit for Connecticut as well. And that money will start to flow over the course of the next number of months to go in and start to rebuild homes and businesses, rebuild infrastructure. You saw the damage that was done to the subway system, to the rail system across the state. We lost 400 rail cars that were flooded in a yard that got flooded that usually doesn't flood. So there's a lot of replacement that needs to be done. That work's going to get started.
And why? I think everybody was excited. And I was pleased when you demonstrated your anger, visible anger, that there was a delay getting this money where it needed to be for the good of the people. What was the holdup, and tell us about that?
I did have to explain what the holdup was because they promised me it was going to get done and then it didn't. Mm-hmm. And then when I tried to get an explanation, they wouldn't answer the phone. And that's not good to do with me because then I start getting more and more pissed off, and then just answer the phone.
Now, let me ask you this. What does that mean? Would this have happened 40 years ago? Have things deteriorated to a point where you and the people of New York and New Jersey suffer? Or is this something that could have happened at any point?
It didn't happen 8 years ago. I mean, in Katrina, they approved $60 billion within 10 days of the storm on a voice vote. For New Jersey and New York, we waited 90 days.
Now, why? Why were we waiting 90 days?
I think unfortunately, it's a different atmosphere there now. People aren't working with each other the way they should. They're not talking to each other the way they should. And I also think that, the fact of the matter is that there are some folks who, when it happens in their backyard, they think it needs to be taken care of. But when it's in someone else's, that it's less important.
Well, that's kind of what I talked about earlier, but these people are supposed to be smart enough to understand the need of victims of a storm like Sandy.
Listen, they're supposed to be, and they obviously got around to it, so I don't want to look like an ingrate. But on the other hand, my people were waiting for that long a period of time.
Was it John Boehner? Was it?
He older.
Is that who it was?
Well, listen, he ultimately made the decision not to have the vote on January 2nd. As it had been promised to have. And when I spoke to him finally, he told me it was his decision. He was taking responsibility for it. It was him.
And taking responsibility for it because he thought it would be a good idea, because why did he think it would be a good idea?
Well, listen, I think his view was that they were dealing with the fiscal cliff at that moment, that it was too much to deal with all at one time, and that they would get to it.
Right, 43,000 families homeless, and it had to line up behind the fiscal cliff.
It did. It did. And, listen, and I made my thoughts known clearly to him. And I was actually, less gentle privately than I was publicly.
Good for you. We'll be right back with the governor, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let me ask you a theoretical question, because I don't know. I don't know very much.
Is that in general? Or?
In general. I'm not that smart.
You make a lot of money for somebody that doesn't know very much.
Yes, I do.
America is the greatest country in the world. It really is.
He's right. But now, the fact that there was this stonewalling on behalf of the relief fund, or against the relief fund, and I saw it discussed on the Sunday morning shows, has the Republican Party, and maybe to a certain extent the Democratic Party also, have we lost sight, really, of the heartbeat of the constituency? Has it shifted out from under people without their awareness? Do they not understand who and what the people are that they're representing?
Both parties have done it. I mean, both parties, they don't talk to each other anymore, and that's the problem. And I think folks forget at times what they got sent here for. They got sent into these jobs to do something, and to do their jobs, and they worry more about the politics than they worry about actually accomplishing something. Right. And that's part of the problem.
Now, as governor, you have more of a direct responsibility to the people who elected you, is that safe to say, than senators and congressmen, or is it the same?
No, listen, I theoretically I don't have more, but people expect more, I think, out of their governors. You're an executive, and they expect you to deliver, and I certainly feel a lot more responsible. I can't blame something on a committee or a subcommittee, or, they expect me to get things done.
You got to get stuff done.
They expect me to.
And in terms of the Sandy relief funds, I think we have this is the website, and I'm sorry to delay not getting it up, but there it is right there. And like so many other people, it's not, you can't forget that it's still not over.
No.
We're still shoveling our way out from under here, and manifests itself in human lives, honestly.
Absolutely.
And then is this the one that you and your wife have started?
My wife started that fund. And let me say, my wife started it. I want her to get complete credit, Dave, because I'm going home tonight. So she started it, and she's raised, with the efforts of others as well, over $32 million already for that fund. So she's done a great job. And it's this disconcerting thing now. There's these billboards everywhere with my wife, about the relief fund, which is wonderful. Except, I was driving over a bridge on the Parkway, and I looked over to the left, and there was like an 8-foot head of my wife on the side of the billboard. And for any husband, I think that's frightening, isn't it, Dave? I mean, they're frightening enough.
All right.
A normal size,
all right, Governor.
All of a sudden,
easy.
You don't want to give a little on that, Dave? Come on.
Oh, no. You're on your own there, Governor.
I'm getting nervous now.
No!
I felt I was out on an island. You weren't helping me.
No,
I needed something.
You're fine.
All right. Sure.
Now, again, I'll ask you the requisite question about 2016.
Okay?
I am fine.
Okay,
no, I'm good. Thank you.
It doesn't look good up here. I gotta say this.
No, that's true. 2016, anything there?
I got to win in 2013. That's my goal.
But if you say you're reelected, I think you'll be reelected to the governor.
Well, is this an endorsement? Am I getting a David Letterman endorsement?
That's right.
Is this it?
Now, what?
I'm going to weep.
Would you, if you were reelected and then you had to run a campaign for 2016, would you do that to the people of New Jersey? Would they let you do that?
Listen, I think everybody understands that if you see something you think you can do and you can do it well, that people will give you an opportunity, fair opportunity to do it. Right. But I'm nowhere near making that decision yet at all. I mean, I think anybody who tries to plan in politics that far in advance is crazy. Right. Because worlds change, your life changes. So all I'm focusing on now is I love my state. I was born there. I was raised there. I love being governor. I want to stay as governor. We'll see what happens.
Well, you raise a good point there. One wonders about a person who wants to be the president of the United States, because as governor, and in particular in your case, an effective governor who is closely tied to the community, you actually get to do things that will help those people. You might lose that, or it might be a step or two removed if you go to a higher office.
There's no question. And I love where I live. I love where my kids go to school. I've got 4 kids between 9 and 19, so they still have a lot of growing up to do. Mm-hmm. And I think,
how do they feel about you running for president?
Oh, well, they were totally against it the last time. I can tell you that. And they're non-committal at this point about the future. But the last time, we took a family vote, and it was 6-0 against, which is a problem.
There's your poll.
Yeah.
Wow, these poll
I got
numbers
0%
are a
of the
little
vote.
anemic,
Yeah.
and that's my family.
That's my
for God's
family. Yeah,
sake.
they were very opposed.
Yeah, but do you see them softening that stance in the future?
I don't know. I mean, I think, they really love me being governor. Mm-hmm. They love the job that I get a chance to do every day. And they love living in Jersey, and they love their friends and their schools. So maybe as they get older, my 16-year-old daughter who's here tonight, because she loves David Letterman.
Oh,
she wanted to come tonight.
Yeah.
But she'd be in college by then, so we'd just have two left at home. So I don't know. That might be a little bit different. But you know what? I'll wait. Let's do this first. Let's get reelected first.
I love you being governor of New Jersey.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
Right?
Good to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very much.
David, thank you very much.
From the Garden State, ladies and gentlemen, Governor Christie. Nice going.